Hello, thank you all so much for joining. Welcome. We will give it just a few moments to let everyone get on and then we'll get started. Awesome. We'll go ahead and dive in. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Community Hour, powering the next wave of cloud innovation. We're so glad you can join us. So thanks for carving out time in your day to be here. Before we get started, we just have a few quick housekeeping notes. First, a big thank you to our sponsors, Dell Technologies and Nutanix. We're excited to bring you this content, so thanks so much for their support. Today's webinar is being recorded, so you'll be able to revisit it later or share it with your colleagues. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A feature. We have got our speakers on hand and ready to answer those questions. And be sure to update your profile on the new Elevate website. You can select your topics of interest to personalize your dashboard and email communications. And don't forget to fill out our post-event survey at the end of the webinar. 2 lucky participants will be randomly selected to win a $25 Amazon gift card, so don't miss out on that. Now that we have got some of those logistics covered, let's get to the good stuff. We're excited to be joined today by 2 fantastic speakers, Dustin Tonro, Senior Consultant in Product Management at Dell Technologies, who brings deep expertise in cloud infrastructure and enterprise solutions, and Guhen Devendran, Principal Product Manager at Nutanix, with a strong background in hybrid cloud strategy and product innovation. Together, they will walk through how Dell and Nutanix are powering the next wave of cloud innovation. So, to kick us off today, we are going to do a quick poll. So, I'm going to go ahead and launch that now. So, how many of you are currently running Nutanix on Dell infrastructure? Yes, no, or planning to. So, give you all just a few seconds to get those answers in. All right, we'll give it just a few more seconds. Awesome. We will go ahead and give you all those results. So how many of you are currently running Nutanix on Dell infrastructure? Here are those results. So 50% are, they say yes, 38% no, and looking like maybe 13% are planning to. Awesome.
Good.
Thanks so much for giving us that full time. Well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to our speakers.
Great. Thank you very much, McKaylee, for a great introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Guhendran Devendran. I go by Guhan, so you don't have to pronounce the whole name. And I'm a principal product manager here at Nutanix, and I take care of all our external storage integrations. And I'm happy today to join with Dustin, our partners at Dell. Dustin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Dustin Torno. I'm a senior product manager here at Dell, and I am the product management lead for the Nutanix product lines. Nice to be here.
Okay, great, Dustin. Happy to talk to you today morning. And so let's start with the problems, like what are the major challenges today in data center, right, Dustin? So we know that the application growth and consequently the growth in data, that has been a trend for like more than like 10 years now, right? We've been adding more and more applications. Consequently, we have been doing that results in more and more data, which explodes the complexity of managing your infrastructure, right? That's been the trend for years. It's to a point, it is cliche now to say like applications are growing and data is growing, right? But then again, we also have the hybrid IT mandates come in because like the cloud dynamics, the economics of cloud started playing a role, and organizations have to now make a decision based on where they want to onboard new applications. There was, for some time, there was a cloud first strategy, and then there was some repatriation because not all solutions or not use cases or workloads were ideal for cloud. So that became the second level of complexity. It again increased the complexity of managing your data centers, right? And what is actually bothering most of the organizations today, I think, is, or the soup of the day challenge, I think, is the cost pressure, right? We have seen like many consolidation happen in the software-defined data center software vendor workspace. There is a lot of consolidation going on, and as a consequence of consolidation, uh, I think all data center IT operation managers are facing cost pressures, pricing, because pricing goes up and there are cost pressures. And what we are realizing is that a single vendor strategy for hypervisors is not going to work. You don't want to be beholden to a single vendor and to their pricing. And so that's putting a lot of pressure. And this is something that is a software-defined data center software is something so critical that you're going to run for all your applications. Your cost quickly multiplies even for a small increase, right? And I think that's one of the things. And we also like, and this, as this research here is cited, as the research cited here, we have clear understanding that more than almost like 90% of the organizations want to have multiple hypervisors just as a hedge against cost and any risk in technology also, right? Like as because of all this consolidation, there are technologies that are being dropped, not being continued. So you need protection both in terms of like customers now looking for both in terms of operational cost as well as in terms of technology availability, right? And
Yeah, Guhin, when I talk to my customers, I mean, the cost pressure is certainly number one, and I think it sort of plays into this multiple hypervisor approach, right? We're seeing a lot of change in the industry with, vendors changing pricing and different models and mechanisms for charging for different software. Certainly, the cost of power, servers get bigger and more condensed. There's the constant cost pressure that IT leaders are, they're being asked to do more with less, and the cost of everything continues to rise. As you're going through that, the one thing that you hadn't mentioned, that I hear a lot now, and it's really kind of unavoidable lately, is the pressure that AI is putting on customers' infrastructure, right? It's driving new infrastructure demands and requirements for lower latency, higher performance, obviously GPUs. So that's something that's really been top of mind for a lot of our customers. And I know, we only have a handful of slides here that we'll go through during this discussion, but we've got some roadmap items that we'll share towards the end. And one of them that we're pretty excited about is, due to that demand for AI, we're going to be announcing support for the Nutanix Enterprise AI and Kubernetes platform licensing with our XC product line. So more to come on that.
True. I'm glad you brought up the AI thing, right? So that is kind of forcing, that's the third layer of complexity, and or the third complexity, not the layer, the third complexity, you're right. It demands a new kind of runtime, not just virtualization. It requires scalable, quickly scalable compute runtimes like containers, and Nutanix AI is our offering for making sure you have the right platform, be it inferencing or be it you're fine tuning, whether you're using AI or whether you're developing AI. Nutanix is trying to build a platform that will meet your needs, and we are great to partner with Dell on bringing those solutions together, right? So it's going to be challenging in terms of building these new platforms, right? So far it had been just VMs and stuff, but like that's the new thing that we also
Exactly.
seeing it, yeah. And just to add to the point that you made, Dustin, on the cost pressures, right? So obviously, customers are seeing the cost pressure, and then um, the response to that is to have multi-vendor hypervisor strategy, right? And the second order issue that comes with that is you want to have flexibility uh, in terms of the hardware that you can use. We want to mostly repurpose the hardware that you have already invested on, both in terms of storage as well as in terms of servers. And that's another trend that we are seeing, right? So all these things that are happening in the industry, finally, it translates into technical challenges. And I think these are this is the need for using existing servers, protecting their existing investments, and being able to adopt different hypervisors, use multiple hypervisors. I think that is kind of the challenge.
Yeah, that's certainly the strategy and direction at Dell. That and I think that's why the Dell and Nutanix relationship is so complementary. And I mean, speaking of, we've had a partnership. Dell and Nutanix have had a partnership together for a long time, haven't we?
Oh yeah, I think it's a good time, right? Yeah, so I think there's a question on the chat. We talked about these challenges like growth of application complexity, cost pressures, new kind of apps coming into your data center. Yeah, please go ahead, put your responses on what you see as biggest IT challenges that you are facing today, like things that are transient as well as things that you see as sticky long-term stuff also. Yeah. And
Michaela, we can go to the next slide. I want to expand on the I want to expand a little bit on the partnership and just give everybody a little history um, on the Dell and Nutanix partnership because it is so strong and it's been in place for such a long time. So this partnership goes all the way back to 2012. Um, I can't remember 2012 very well. I'm getting old, but I did a little digging and it was a big year for tech, right? Apple launched the iPhone 5. NASA landed Curiosity on Mars, and of course, it was the year that the Dell and Nutanix relationship developed. And with that partnership, we've worked together in lockstep to launch a lot of different generations of products, right? So, go ahead. Do you remember 2012?
yeah, I also did some digging on 2012. I was grooving to Sai's Gangnam Style. It's a beacon of hope for all middle-aged men thinking like existential questions. Yeah, 2012 was a great year. That's when I think Nutanix has been just around for like 4 years then, and Dell is one of our early partners. And since then, we have been just extending our partnership, offering new solutions and meeting customer demand. Yeah, and it is getting better and better, right? So, Dustin, I think you're going to even talk more about the 2023, 2024 things that we have done.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on the partnership just continues to evolve and get stronger. So just going through the timeline on the screen here, you can see over the years we've remained in lockstep. We initially launched with the 13G server portfolio, and that's taken us all the way through 16G. In October of this year, we're going to be releasing 17G XC server platform. So it's safe to say that this is a solid relationship, and really we've learned a lot together. Over 4 generations of server technology. Obviously, the Nutanix software has evolved and changed over the years too, to grow into a really complementary product. I'm going to mention the end of the timeline is really where things get exciting. Part of the reason that we're talking today is to talk about some of these new announcements, but I think the biggest milestone on the timeline is the last one, which is earlier this year, Dell and Nutanix announced support for Dell PowerFlex with Nutanix Cloud Platform, which is really a fundamental shift in the Nutanix infrastructure to add support for external storage. Until that announcement, right? Nutanix was an HCI only hypervisor. But Nutanix working together with Dell, we were able to expand beyond HCI and support new architectures to bring in new customer base, help customers evolve, to bring the flexibility that they need to support high performance external storage. So that's really exciting for us. Guhan, I know you're going to go in a little bit deeper into that in a couple minutes. I think,
Yeah.
Michele, do we have a question maybe for the team? Well, we'll put that one in chat. You can move to the next slide too, and I'll move on to, I'd like to do just a quick overview of the Dell XC Plus solution. I know we did the poll in the beginning of the conversation, and some people are using Nutanix, some people aren't, and some people are thinking about it. The XC Plus platform combines the Nutanix Cloud Platform with Dell PowerEdge servers, purpose-built to be simple, agile, and powerful. There are a couple of key benefits that I want to highlight. It's a turnkey hybrid cloud solution. So we fully integrate the Nutanix stack onto these Dell PowerEdge servers. These are all validated, qualified, ready to deploy. So we've done all the homework. We do, a month plus of testing with each one of these server models to get them qualified, to make sure the hardware compatibility lines up. So you're not taking any risks, right? When you buy a Dell XC platform and you're going to run your Nutanix stack on it, you don't have to worry about any compatibility issues, no surprises, fully integrated. And we've got a variety of different models and systems available to address, cloud, core, edge deployments, whatever you're looking to deploy. We've got the system that can kind of, be right-sized to fit that. The plus in XC Plus stands for OEM licensing. So we are an OEM licensing provider for Nutanix. So when you purchase your Nutanix system, not only does it come pre-deployed with the HV software on it, but we also have the ability to package licensing with it at the same time. So this is, simplifies the purchasing experience and certainly helps with the time to deploy. I mentioned that that it comes factory installed with the HV hypervisor. It's also fully configured and optimized at the hardware level. So BIOS settings are set appropriately. All the best practices are followed. So when you unbox this thing, it's literally ready to go. Guhan, anything that you'd like to add on the XC platform?
Yeah, thanks for talking about this, right? So I think in the XC platform, the kind of experience that we jointly offer is what you see on the top, like private cloud to public cloud. You have XC Plus, you have licenses that you can use on-prem or on public. And at the same time, the most critical part, which actually Dustin talked about, I think, is how we make the hardware invisible to the user, right? So Dustin, you talked about all the collaborations we have in terms of automating, fine-tuning the servers, setting the right BIOS settings, getting all the right firmwares so that you get the most optimized system, those engineering, as well as getting the AHV, the AOS, our storage controller, our hypervisor, all those things comes integrated. And then XC Plus is just like you buy a data center in a box every time, right? So that's the greatest level of simplicity that you can get today. And that's enabled purely by your partnership with Dell. And thanks to all the innovation that you bring on the hardware and working with us to help us leverage those things, right? Yeah.
One thing that I missed on the slide is the bottom row of information there is the number of customers and the deployments that exist today, right? Now, over the 4 generations of server platforms and the relationship stretching back almost 15 years, we've got close to 6,000 customers, 130,000 nodes deployed globally. and 2.3 exabytes of data capacity out there. So when I say that we've learned a lot through those trials and tribulations, right? We get tons of customer feedback. We've done all these deployments, and we've really built a rock solid product together. But enough about the Dell XC Plus platform. Let's talk about the exciting one. Let's talk about PowerFlex.
Oh yeah, great. So Dustin, this is, as I said, like, as you also observed in the last slide, Nutanix championed and pioneered the hyper-converged infrastructure architecture, right? The greatest benefit is that, as I said, it makes your data center planning, administration as simple as possible. You just need, if you have to scale up more, you just add another node. And if you want to, you don't have to administer the hardware and the software infrastructure separately. You administer all of them together, and that brings in a great level of simplicity in your operations, right? Even for tech refresh, like if you're moving from a 14G to a 15G or a 15G to a 17G hardware, all you need to do is just add another server into the cluster and take away your oldest server out, right? So that level of simplicity is what we have engineered together. But at the same time, right, we also see that there are use cases where customers want to have independent scaling of compute and storage. And they also want, and most of the time, they also want to have, in recent times at least, right, there's a need for running different multiple hypervisor within their data center in such kind of setup, right? And as I was talking before also, that gets into a second order problem of like, how can you repurpose your existing servers and existing storage and adopt this new, adopt a multi-vendor hypervisor strategy, right? And to that effect, this is our first collaboration. So we realize the need for that, right? And in your quest to go to a multi-hypervisor strategy, we want to reduce the friction in adopting Nutanix, right? So it's not necessary that we want you to always refactor your infrastructure into hyper-converged appliances. We also want to enable you to start using things that you already have in your data center, both in terms of server and storage. And our first integration is with Nutanix. Nutanix integration is with Dell PowerFlex software-defined storage platform, right? So there's a lot of synergy in that sense because Nutanix is a software-defined hyper-converged infrastructure. At the same time, SDS is a software-defined storage infrastructure. So there's a natural synergy in terms of how things scale, right? Even in SDS, in PowerFlex SDS, you keep adding more and more nodes whenever you need to add additional capacity. So that's why we chose our first integration with PowerFlex. So the solution is going to be something like, or the solution is already available, and we already have large customers, a medical equipment manufacturer, and a large financial ratings company. They are already using this solution. They are deploying the solution, Dustin. Technically, it is just a Nutanix cluster without its internal storage. And instead of using internal drives, it is going to connect over an Ethernet network to the PowerFlex storage, right? So today we are supporting this solution with PowerFlex hardware also, right? So PowerFlex is both a hardware as well as a software-defined storage. So we are supporting the solution in the PowerFlex of hardware connecting to PowerFlex storage software. We will be expanding that to include the PowerEdge servers also soon, Dustin. So we are working on that.
It's exciting times. I'm hearing a lot of excitement from our sellers, from our customers about the solution. Certainly, the flexibility with expanding to support PowerFlex and PowerEdge is another great example of the collaboration and working together. I had a question teed up for you, Guhan, and it was, help me understand how Nutanix is thinking about external storage, but you answered that so well that I don't think we need to rehash it. But it's really, the way that I understand it is, meeting customers where they are, right? Not forcing them to refactor to move to HCI, but to support the infrastructure that they're currently using, that's working well for their business, but enabling them to move to a new hypervisor. We have a
Already,
question.
already grappling with a lot of complexities. We certainly want to make this easier and reduce the friction as possible. Yeah.
That's the name of the game. We'll try to make it easy for everyone, right? So Michaeli just put a question in the chat. Are you currently exploring external storage integrations with Nutanix? That's certainly the topic over the last couple months for us is how that ecosystem will continue to grow and evolve. Michaeli, we can drop to the next slide here. Go ahead. I think you're going to tell us a little bit about, kind of explain to us the difference, right? So I talked about XC Plus, right? The sort of out of the box HCI solution. You talked about PowerFlex with NCP. If I'm a customer and maybe I'm doing a greenfield deployment, I'm going to stand up a new cluster. How do I pick? Which one do I go with?
Oh, great question, Dustin. Yeah, this is a good time to give clarity on this, right? As you observed in your slides about XC Plus, right? There's a lot of benefit that comes with HCI. It is simple to administer, simple to plan for, simple to do tech refreshes, all those simplicity. So like, if your use case is all about, if your use case is quite predictable and you have a good hold of what kind of applications are going to run, and if they are more or less homogeneous, then you would go for XC Plus, right? So because it brings you all the, it reduces all the complexity. If you have to deploy those kind of application on a 3-tier or a disaggregated fashion, these applications doesn't need that level of a complexity, right? So
easy to deploy, easy to scale, just easy, right?
Yeah, easy to deploy, easy to scale, easy to do tech refreshes, right? Whenever your server is out of lifecycle support, then you can move to the next generation very easily. And all of the we like Nutanix and Dell work together to make the hardware as invisible, as easy to manage for you by automating all the things that you will have to be doing, right? And making sure that the validation and everything happens properly. But the cons to that kind of an experience is you are restricted to a specific recipe of hardware, right? You are restricted to a set of options, right? Though we offer a wide variety of hardware that's supported with Dell XC, right? But like that kind of restricts a little more on what kind of servers that you can use, what you can choose and all, right?
Our engineers are definitely thankful that it's a limited set of configurations. Would you agree?
Yeah, true. Actually, like it may sound like a small problem, but just like you start putting together like the firmware on your drives, the firmware that is running on your controllers, the the BIOS settings, and everything, then the complexity explodes, right? It becomes exponential. So it's not an easy task to pull. And then anything that we find as an issue, we have to work through it across organizations. It's a lot of work. So that's all we do to make it simple, and that's where you should use XC Plus, right? If you have applications like VDI, which you will have to scale, and you will have to scale at a very short notice. And the good thing is that workload is more or less homogeneous in a VDI environment, right? And you have like operations like that needs to scale instantly, like you have to clone thousands of VMs, or you have to take off thousands of VMs, right? When you're doing VDI. Those kind of use cases greatly benefit from XC Plus. Now, the kind of use cases that benefit from the Dell PowerFlex with Nutanix solution is where you don't have that kind of predictability, right? If it is a large virtualization consolidation environment, the kind of workloads that are going to come into your platform is going to be random. They will have like different CPU memory characteristics, different IO profiles. What that means is you cannot assume a standard infrastructure, and that's why you will go for a disaggregated architecture so that you can independently scale and manage the storage from the compute, right? And if that is the kind of use cases, large virtualization consolidation use cases, and if you're running like production databases, consolidated fashion, those kind of applications, those kind of use cases will greatly benefit from Dell PowerFlex with Nutanix solutions, right? In addition, as I said, like um, this allows you to use your existing investments on PowerFlex SDS. On the server side, though we support PowerFlex today, we are working with Dustin and team, again, with Dell for adding PowerEdge there. So that gives you a lot more flexibility, right? So you're slightly trading off on the user experience for the flexibility in terms of procuring new hardware or using hardware or scaling up your infrastructure. You get a lot more flexibility there. So based on the use case, I would say like choose the right product. And what
It's exciting to have both of them in the portfolio, right? To be able to support both use cases without that sort of limitation that we had in the past.
There's one specific use case I want to talk about, Destin. That is like Nutanix has, we have our BCDR solutions, right? So what we recently announced is about the ability to set up async replication between Nutanix PowerFlex cluster to a HCI cluster, right? That helps you to reduce your DR cost, right? That brings down your DR TCO by a lot. So you can have a DR setup where one side is a Nutanix cluster consuming storage from PowerFlex. On the other side, it is a Nutanix HCI cluster on XC. So that's the kind of flexibility. We will keep on adding more and more topologies, more and more solutions as we go by. But to start with, yeah, if its applications are homogeneous, you're looking at simplicity, XC Plus is your choice. But like if you have complex environments where you need to reuse hardware and independently manage compute and storage scalability, NCP with PowerFlex is the solution.
I think that's a great use case, and just one example of the creativity and flexibility that we have with the joint offers. So that's great. Thanks for walking through that. I know when we initially launched, there's some we got a lot of questions on this, but certainly the more we talk about it, the clearer it gets, and our customers totally get it, right? They're totally understand because they're coming from either a disaggregated infrastructure or an existing HCI environment. So it's good to have the choice. Okay, we are product managers, so we like to live in the future and talk about roadmap. So no presentation would be complete without talking about some roadmap items. These are some of the things that we're authorized to talk about on this call. So we'll just go through one by one here. Go ahead and feel free to jump in on any one of these. Michaela, you can let this slide build out if you want, so that we got everything on here. The first one, as I mentioned earlier in the call, is the 17G refresh. So we're bringing in a number of different platforms, both Intel and AMD processors, 1U and 2U configurations, 1 and 2 socket configurations. So we've got a lot of flexibility that we're going to bring to market here. These will launch in the October timeframe, so right around the corner. Really excited about that, to be able to support the next generation of hardware. We've been working on the SAP HANA certification. That too will wrap up in the October 2025 timeframe. So that is, again, right around the corner. We've got some expanded licensing. I mentioned earlier in this call the AI infrastructure challenges. We're working with Nutanix to help our customers evolve as their needs evolve, to support different AI workloads. So we are adding support for Nutanix Kubernetes platform, NKP, as well as the Nutanix Enterprise AI licensing. Those will be available to purchase with XC hardware in the XC Plus packaging in the next couple of weeks, right? So again, right around the corner, we've got a lot of great releases, a lot of great updates coming. And lastly, and this is getting a lot of excitement, certainly we'll have more sessions about this, but the Dell Private Cloud with Nutanix is in development and will be available early next year. So 2026 is going to be an exciting year for us with the Dell Private Cloud. The Dell Private Cloud will automate the deployment of AHV on PowerEdge servers. It will do full stack orchestration from provisioning to lifecycle management. And there's a ton of collaboration right now happening between Dell and Nutanix to bring that to life. So very exciting. That Dell Private Cloud platform also integrates with the PowerFlex storage. So again, bringing everything full circle. We've got a lot of great announcements here. Go ahead. Anything you wanna add to the roadmap slide?
No, I just want to comment on the part that you talked about the private cloud, and that's to say that how we are actually stacking value on over and each other. Like we bring the integration with PowerFlex, and then at the top level, we have the Dell Private Cloud Platform coming in, reducing. So one of the things that we didn't talk about is like when you have multiple hypervisors in your data center, that itself adds complexity, right? And this roadmap that we are seeing showing here, Dell Private Cloud, will help you to address that complexity. When you have multiple hypervisors, you have a single pane of glass to manage all those things consistently. And you get the same kind of capabilities for irrespective of whatever hypervisor you're deploying on that day. So this is how we are actually stacking value over the others. And this is how we are expanding our partnership, which has been there for more than a decade now. And it's just getting more stronger, Dustin, right? And we'll be getting more and more exciting news. So yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly the private cloud value prop for our customers is that agility and ability to change hypervisors, right? Since we're running on PowerEdge servers, we don't have any sort of vendor lock-in there. If customers come in on VMware or Microsoft, they can make an easy transition to Nutanix, all staying on the same platform. So bringing that level of flexibility is really key, right? Our customers told us what they wanted and we delivered. So next year is going to be, I think, amazing to see how customers leverage the technology.
Great.
With that, Michaela, I think we wrapped up our content here.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for presenting on this information. It's wonderful. We've got a few questions coming in. So I'll start with what I am seeing in our Q&A. So first question is, will the Dell Private Cloud on Nutanix work with Dell Native Edge?
I can take that one. It will. It leverages some of the same technology. So the automation platform will support native as well as multiple versions of Dell Private Cloud and a number of different AI solutions. So that messaging is starting to sort of the different available outcomes for the automation platform come to market. You'll see sort of that portfolio continue to build and grow.
Awesome. Another question that came in is, once DPC will be able to deploy Nutanix AHV, which architecture will be used? HCI, PowerEdge plus PFlex, or another?
PowerEdge plus PowerFlex will be the deployed architecture in the initial release of the Nutanix Dell Private Cloud. Great question.
Awesome. All right, and a few others that we'll take as well is during Dell Tech World, other storage platforms were mentioned in the roadmap. Could you elaborate on what we can expect here?
It's kind of a sneaky question there. So I also heard about a lot of storage platforms at DTW. I will tell you, I'm not going to give any big announcements on this call, but on the 24th, we do have a modernized data center presentation that will make some new announcements, but there's nothing I can share today. But patiently wait until the 24th and all will be revealed.
Okay, so we got a little teaser there.
6 more days. Okay.
Yes.
Fixed.
Now, another question that came in is now that PowerFlex is integrated with Nutanix, what benefits will customers see compared to traditional storage or HCI setups?
Yeah. So I think I talked about in details on this, Michaela. Like the thing is, the core value is it reduces the friction for you to use, for customers to use Nutanix, right? And how it reduces the friction is by allowing you to use your existing investments in existing hardware, right? Now, when it comes to the functionality aspects, right, I think that's what the question is all about. Like, okay, what functions are available on HCI? Is that different from what is available on with PowerFlex? If that is what you are heading to, the Nutanix products, that is AHV, AOS, those functionalities remain the same, right? You get all the AOS, BCDR functionalities, you get the flow networking, and you get all our layered products like NCM. All those things work as is. In fact, like once you deploy the solution on PowerFlex, it's the way you consume it is how you would consume it in HCI. You won't see a difference between a HCI cluster and a PowerFlex, a Nutanix cluster using PowerFlex. All the operations, all the functionalities and features are available. To start with, let me just step back, right? So the roadmap has all the functionalities covered on both HCI as well as on a disaggregated setup with PowerFlex, right? So we are starting with async replication. Soon we will have the sync replication, and we will have NKP support available. So we'll keep enabling all our value-added layered software stack on this solution also, right? Now, and we also had this slide on that where we say like, which one would you choose where? As I said before, like if it's a homogeneous application that needs instant scaling and instant scalability, and you want ease of operations, both in terms of planning, administration, and as well as tech upgrades, XC Plus is your choice. But if you're handling with a quite unpredictable environment and applications that need like SLAs and QoS, and you have independent scaling of compute and storage, then you would choose for NCP with Dell PowerFlex. So it largely is based on the use case, right? But like feature and functionality wise, you will find all the functionalities on HCI available on the disaggregated solution also. Hope I answered the
Great
question.
question. Great question. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, last question that I'm seeing. So if anyone else has any questions, be sure to get those either in the chat or the Q&A, but we'll go ahead and hit this last one. How is Dell Private Cloud for Nutanix different from other solutions, and how will it make moving to Nutanix easier for our team?
I can take that one. So how is it different? Well, this runs on a sort of out of the box PowerEdge server. So unlike the HCI offers like we discussed earlier, that have sort of a limited curated list of hardware that's supported, this will run on a regular PowerEdge server. That's really important when it comes to moving to and from the platform, right? Where you don't have the vendor lock-in that you would normally have, with a co-engineered solution. So that's one of the differences right there. And then how does it make it easier? Well, because again, you're running on a PowerEdge server, the automation platform will give you the ability to quite easily wipe those servers and redeploy another technology. So, if you were to come onto the platform with a VMware solution or a Microsoft solution or a Red Hat solution, you could very easily take those servers and reprovision them as a Nutanix cluster. So again, we listened to our customers. They told us they wanted the ability to move around as needed. It's probably not something that's going to happen on a regular basis, but it's a hedge against changes with technology vendors. And that's what really brings power to the automation platform.
Can I add to that, Dustin? Like,
Yeah.
though the DAP brings the flexibility in terms of provisioning new hypervisors on PowerEdge and PowerScale, PowerEdge and PowerFlex. you might be wondering what happens to the data, right? So we have this utility called Nutanix Move, which can actually seamlessly migrate data from VMware, hypervisor, Hyper-V. You can seamlessly move without disturbing, without touching that VMware VM. You'll be able to convert those VMware virtual machines and their data into Nutanix AHV and Nutanix data on PowerFlex, right? So that's going to be like when I say seamless, I'm saying like it's online. It will take a snapshot, it will keep converting the virtual machines, it will install the right drivers on virtual machines on the AHV side, and then it will take copies in a scheduled fashion. And once it is copied most of the data and there is only less small data that needs to be transferred, you can choose that time and you can do the cutover from that VMware VM to an AHV VM, right? So this is all online. It's scalable. You can deploy as many Move appliances as you want. In fact, like Dustin, like one of our early adopter customers for the PowerFlex solution, DC NCP with PowerFlex, is like kind of moving like something around like 20,000 VMs, right? From VMware to Dell PowerFlex and Nutanix using the new Nutanix Move tool. So DAP helps you on deployment. Move will help you on migration.
That's right. That's a great call out. One of the other things that I wanted to mention is the lifecycle management, right? I think one of the most powerful things that we have with the XC platform is that Prism handles lifecycle management of the hardware, right? That's part of the co-engineering that Dell and Nutanix do together. Obviously, with the automation platform running on PowerEdge servers, you may think, we lose that, but that capability is all built into the automation platform. So the Dell automation platform will handle the lifecycle management of those PowerEdge systems. And going back to earlier in the discussion when we talked about multiple hypervisors, we know our customers are running multiple hypervisors as they should, right? And that's a hedge against technology changes. But the automation platform gives you the ability to perform all of your lifecycle management of those PowerEdge servers, regardless of the technology running on top of it, in one place. So it's a very exciting solution that we're very excited to bring to market early next year.
Yeah, choice without compromise.
Exactly.
Great.
Any other questions for us, McKaylee?
I was talking with my mic muted. That is all the questions that I'm seeing. Oh, actually, we might have gotten one more. No, just kudos to you, Dustin and Guhin, on a great presentation. So with that, I will go ahead and close this out today. So again, thank you all so much for being here and sharing this information with us and the community. As an update, you can hear more updates by visiting our Dell and Nutanix community pages for resources and upcoming events. And don't forget to complete that post-event survey. I just put it in the chat for your chance to win that $25 Amazon gift card. So thank you again to our speakers and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, McKaylee. And nice talking to you, Dustin, as always.
Talk soon. Take care.
Bye.